mic is on, and away we go. Today, we are going to be going through this race weekend F1 in the USA. Program/magazine. And then we're also going to be going through this Circuit of the Americas COTA weekend program. Now, we'll go through this one first before we dive into this awesome publication. Take this to the side for a minute. So, one of the videos that I posted was a program of last year's F1, weekend at COTA. I went all 3 days last year to the USGP, and this year I only went to Friday practice. So I don't know if they had bigger programs and books like they did last year on the other days, but I kept asking when I was there, and this is all I could find, and this was free, whereas the program last year I believe was like $20, but it was like a book. So it says the home of horse power, and it has this livery of an F1 car with an American flag over it. You can see that it is a Formula One MSC Cruises United States Grand Prix 2025, Austin, 17th through 19th of October. And then you have the Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas logo right here. And then below we have this QR code and almost like advertisement, if you will, that says download the COTA app, race info, schedule, map, tickets. So you can download this and see it on your phone. So like I said, I was really disappointed because that was something that I wanted to do again. But unfortunately, this is all I got. But we'll go through this, and then we'll go through the F1 weekend program. So here you can see you have the schedule Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday. In the blue are the performances. So we had Kygo on Friday, Garth Brooks on Saturday, and Turnpike Troubadours on Sunday. Now, I didn't go to any of these. I've seen Kygo at COTA, not for the race weekend, but I've seen him at the amphitheater. They have 2 stages. The amphitheater during the during the year is normally where concerts go. But during the Grand Prix, they build a separate super stage on the back straight. So, I saw Kygo on his world tour at the amphitheater. But, like I said, I only went on Friday to the practice. So this shows you all of the different artists and the different places that they'll be, but this is the headliners for the weekend. So this is going to be a fold out. So right here, you have different packages. As you can see, you can upgrade your concert experience by these QR codes. And, this is why I didn't like this format of it. I mean, it makes sense. They're cheaper to produce. And I don't know if they had the this is very representative of sustainability and using QR codes to, provide information. So here we have the drivers and the teams competing this weekend. Well, not this weekend, but the weekend of the USGP. So we had Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton for Ferrari, Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris for McLaren, Max Verstappen and Yuki for Red Bull, George and Kimi for Mercedes, Lance and Fernando for Aston Martin, ASMcaR and Liam Lawson for VCarb, Esteban Ocon and Ollie Behrman for Haas, Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz for Williams, Pierre Gasly, Jack Doohan. This is actually wrong. It was Franco Colapinto, so that's interesting. I'm just seeing this. For Alpine and Nico and Gabriel Bortoleto for Steak Kick Sauber. That's funny. I didn't even catch that. But over here we can see the event schedule for the week. So, let me see if I can just fold this back. Friday from 12:30 to 1:30 you had Formula 1 FP1 practice. And then we had the Porsche Carrera Cup practice from 2:35 to 3:05. 4:30 to 5:15 was sprint qualifying. So we saw the practice and sprint qualifying. And then at 7 p.m. was Geico. Saturday, we started the morning with the Porsche Carrera Cup qualifying from 9:45 to 10:15. Then noon to 12:30 was the sprint race, 19 laps, which I'm sure you all saw the carnage and the McLaren drama that weekend. And then from 2:40 to 3:20 was the Porsche Carrera Cup race number 1. And then from 4 to 5 we had qualifying for the USGP, followed by Garth Brooks at 7 p.m. Rounding out the weekend, Porsche Carrera Cup race 2 was from 11 to 11:40. From noon to 12:30 we had the Drivers' Parade. 1:44 to 1:46 was the national anthem. 1:46 to 1:47 was the air display flyover. And then 2 p.m. was the United States Grand Prix. And then closing out the weekend was Turnpike Troubadours at 4:30. And see, here we have another view of the live schedule with the QR code here. On the back here, we just have the Village Experience and this don't miss different exhibits or attractions. So we had the Apex Art Gallery, the Speed City Mini Golf, the COTA Tower, which is that iconic tower that is shown on TV, custom cowboy hats, and lucha libre wrestling. And then the Village and Experience, you had Turn 2 Saloon, the Texas Tailgate, the Circuit of Americas at Turn 3, La Cadena, at, I think this was in the infield, or whatever is, I guess, like by in between turns, 15 and like 3, that area, I think that's where it was. The ranch, I think, was in the same area. And then the Lone Star Land. So these were just different areas. And you discover new, exhilarating, and photo-worthy moments around COTA's 20 turns in these immersive villages. So they had food and, different events. And then maybe we can go through this another time, I think. Yeah, so this is, I was wrong. By turn 6, the ranch is right over here. The Lone Star is between turn 3 and like 15, this little area. So that's what I was thinking of. We had seats So we got a view of the back straight, and then we got a view of turns 12, 13, 14, and 15. Maybe we can go through this together in more detail. If you're new, you're welcome. I haven't made a couple videos in a while because I went to the USGP. It was my birthday weekend. Fun fact, I have the same birthday as Charles Leclerc. And then I have been traveling for work and I got sick. So something that is new to me with ASMR on this channel is if I don't have a voice or if I'm coughing, it doesn't provide the most relaxing experience for all of you. So I appreciate all of my followers that have stuck around from the very beginning. If you're new, you're welcome. We're almost at 500 subscribers. That's been my goal for the end of the year, and we're over 400 now. So if we can get that up to 500, that would be amazing. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the actual program that I did get. So this is not necessarily a program specifically for the United States Grand Prix. As much as it is a publication race weekend in the USA. And you can see Danny Rick right here. So this is Daniel Ricciardo on the cover. Daniel Ricciardo, McLaren Circuit of the Americas 2021. Motorsport images. So I believe this is the publication race weekend. But this, when I was looking at, when I was looking for the actual program, I saw this at a publication stand, and they had a couple different versions that you can see online. I can put a link to these publications if you would like to purchase one, or if you just want to see more of the other editions. But the guy said that this edition was all about all of the US Grand Prix and all of the cities that have hosted them. So we have Mario Andretti in a Lotus 4 to Long Beach in 1979. And I like this publication because it's that like matte finish of photographs. So if you've seen the SS video that I created, it is very similar in the style and texture. So if you wanted to like cut these out and frame them, they would be really, really good to, display as art. 1, 2, 3. This is race weekend. We live for the race weekend. It says right here. And then this is just a table of contents. So you have part 1, driving fours, built for speed, made in the USA. Part 2, which is the land of the free, in parentheses, way. And then did I say part 2 or 3? This is part 2, part 3, the search to identify a team's true colors, Haas F1. My very first dream of going to America as a kid was Disneyland, and then obviously once I started falling more and more in love with motorsport, it was the Daytona 500. It's like, I got to go. And that was Danny Ricciardo. Here's another picture of Mario Andretti. quality of this. Dan Gurney and Zandvoort in 1970, racing with McLaren. Here are some Scuderia Ferrari pictures from the 60s. Just look at the cars. Oh wow, look at the hairstyle and the fashion. Another picture of Mario Andretti, and when he was racing in 1971, Scuderia Ferrari. This is an awesome photo. The long exposure here, creating these light flares. Oh wow, I love this. You can see this is showing the banking, but overlaid with a star. I just really like the aesthetic of this and how a lot of these close-ups or headshots are, fully on display. Richie Kinder and the Honda R&D Company, Monza, 1966. Here's Michael Andretti in the McLaren in 1993. Okay. Here is a picture of racing on home soil photographs by Rainer Schillerkel. I'm not even going to pronounce that correctly, so I'm not going to try. I'm so sorry. And the Motorsport Images Archive. So this is Long Beach Street Circuit, which now is a track for IndyCar. If you are a fan of the United States Grand Prix now, you will see this red, white, and blue runoff area is very famous for COTA. So this was taken in 2021. Oh, I love this. I love this page so much. So, I'm from Indianapolis, and this is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And this picture was taken in 2005. And this is the Detroit circuit that also is a circuit for the IndyCar season. This was Detroit Circuit 1987. This looks like, right here, this is Caesar's Palace 1982. Which is funny because now there is a Las Vegas Grand Prix, but it's it's obviously different than the Caesar's Palace circuit. So again, this is like what I really enjoyed about this publication is that it's obviously United States themed because it's talking about the United States Grand Prix for the majority of the publication. But you can see the complete overlay of red on this photo and like the stars that like also give some stripes. It's just very patriotic, which if you're from this country, you kind of have seen, what is the word? How do I say this and not get in trouble? You've seen the decline in popularity of patriotism, or the increase of patriotism, quote unquote. So I don't really fall for this aesthetic as much anymore, just for my own reasons. But I did want to get this because it is history of the United States Grand Prix, and that's the only race that I've been to. So I didn't know there was a Phoenix Street Circuit in 1989. And so here we go. Here is another section titled Made in the USA 46 to 59. Again with this Americana Patriot aesthetic. This is showing the difference in sponsors. So we had Camel cigarettes, and then Texaco Petroleum. So as you can see, there's been a lot of cigarette or tobacco companies. This is Lucky Strike cigarettes. And this one was STB Lubricants. STB. And you can see that sponsorships have always been a huge part of motorsport and Formula One. This is T-Moss. And see how even they just took a picture that had the blues as the majority or the primary color, and then overlaid red and white stripes over this picture, creating an homage to an American flag. I'll just be careful of my hand placement on this picture, but obviously I'll keep this peachy, but obviously showing the product placement or the brand placement for Marlboro cigarettes. This is cool. This is Valvoline Lubricants in 1973. Just look at all of these fans that lined the hill. And just like the nostalgia of this, like the fashion, just like the painted wood slits that create the Valvoline logo and branding. And here we have a GE General Electric Company and 7-Up. Just love the shape of these cars is pre-Halo 1991. Okay, F1 in the USA, land of the freeway. A look at USGP race venues and circuits past, present, and future. So this is Detroit P2. Sebring International Raceway. And this is Sebring was one of the many circuits to take advantage of airfields that had fallen out of use after World War II. It occupies the former Hendricks Army Airfield, which served as a training base for B-17 pilots. Just look at these cars. So, this is showing a data log here. Location Sebring, Florida. The year's active one, which was 1959. The length is 5.192 miles. There's 17 turns. Bruce McLaren won. In the race, lap record was 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Riverside International Raceway. In 1966, Le Mans competitor and sports car driver Ken Miles was killed at Riverside testing the car that ultimately became the iconic Ford Mark IV. Grand Prix of the United States. So this was Moreno Valley, California. There was one active year in 1960. The length was 3.275 miles with 10 turns. And Sterling Moss in the Lotus Climax was the winner. The lap record was 1 minute 56 seconds, 56.3 seconds. Okay, here we have branding with Bridgestone tires. Watkins Glen International. This is the only fatal U.S. Grand Prix. Unfortunately, Watkins Glen was also the only American Grand Prix venue to see drivers die in their pursuit of speed, which is what caused the growing push for safety. In 1973, Francis Cervera was killed during qualifying when he lost control of his car, which punctured the barriers and killed him on impact. A year later, Helmut Koenig lost his head when his car slid under the Armco. After those two crashes, a chicane was added before the high-speed SS corner in the same way the boot section was added in 1970. So this was in Watkins Glen, New York, and it lasted for 20 years, 1961 to 1980. The length was 2.32 miles, and then added 2.35 from 1965 to 70. The first winner, Ines Ireland. Most wins, Jim Clark and Graham Hill. The race lap record 1 minute 3.07 seconds. In 1970 and then 1978, 1 minute 39 seconds and 15 see the two cars here. It's a street circuit right on the like at the board side. So this was active for 8 years from 1976 to 1983 with a length of 2.02 miles. Like I said, this is still a circuit in the IndyCar series. The first race at Long Beach was a Formula 5000 event which received 44 entries and included iconic racers like Mario Andretti, Bobby Unser, and David Hobbs. Sorry y'all, the print is very small, so I'm trying to read through my monitor right now. Why IndyCar succeeded where F1 failed. With it being such a successful race, it was a shock for many casual fans to learn that F1 would no longer be hosting the United States Grand Prix West at Long Beach. The city still wanted a race, but it wanted something a little more like IndyCar to fill the void. IndyCar is cheaper, there's no permanent facilities, and there's California politics. Sorry, I'm getting this confused. I think Long Beach is still... Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Caesars Palace Grand Prix Circuit. So this was held at Caesars Palace, and it was in this like parking lot. And so obviously it was only active for 2 years, and now it's the Las Vegas Grand Prix, which is a street circuit through the Strip, which is a lot better than this just crazy designed track. Detroit, here's another Indy car. This is a cool picture of this Ferrari. So the Detroit circuit was active for 7 years. It had a length of 2.59 miles in 1982 and then 2.5 miles from 1983 to 1988 with 18 turns. John Watson, McLaren Ford being the first winner. Ayrton Senna, McLaren Honda was the last winner. Most wins, Ayrton Senna with 3. And Ayrton Senna, 1987, had the race lap record of 1 minute, 40.464 seconds. After F1 left Detroit, IndyCar took over the dirt running of the Detroit Grand Prix. The American Series ultimately moved the race from city streets to Belle Isle, the longest urban island park in America. Dallas Grand Prix circuit. This was something that I wasn't aware of either. Living in Austin, Texas, I didn't realize that there was a Dallas Grand Prix circuit. While Dallas may be one of Texas' most recognized cities, the bustling metropolitan area never quite seemed to click as a Formula One destination. The goal of the event was to showcase Dallas as a world-class city, one that was still coming to terms with the pain brought by President John F. Kennedy's assassination. But headstrong Dallas butted up against stubborn F1 at every step of the way. That the race happened at all was a miracle, but after a weekend full of cancellation rumors and melting track surfaces, it's easy to imagine that both parties were ready to forget the liaison that ever happened. which Dallas is now going to have a IndyCar race next year. Fair Park, Dallas, Texas. The year's active was won in 1984 with a length of 2.424 miles, 14 turns. Phoenix. I love this. And I like how the font, there's different letters that are slanted. Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So, fun fact, I've done it multiple times, I'll probably do it again this year. During the month of May for IndyCar, for the 500, they have a half marathon that you get to run around the track. So there's photos and pictures of me, photos and videos, of running on the track, which is really cool. The famous pylon. Now, something interesting about the Motor Speedway in Indianapolis is it has multiple configurations. So it's most known for the big oval for IndyCar, but they actually expanded into making a permanent track that goes the opposite way. It goes through the infield. I believe that's Michael Schumacher. Could be wrong. So the Speedway hosted 19 years from 1950 to 60, and then 2000 to 2007 with a track of 2.604 miles, and 2002 0.606 miles in 2001 through 2004 and 2006, and then 2.605 miles from 2005 and 7. There was 4 turns, so it was already on the oval from 50 to 60 for those 10 years, and then 13 with that new track design. Michael Schumacher was the first winner for Ferrari, and then the last winner was Lewis Hamilton during his McLaren era, and the most wins was Michael Schumacher with 5. Something that happened was there was a huge issue with the tires, Michelin, and there was a race that only, I think 6 cars, 2, 4, 5, 6, 6 cars raced, and the fans did not like it at all, which led for the downfall and ultimately led to the current USGP that we have today at the Circuit of Americas. When the Circuit of Americas brought back the United States Grand Prix after a much missed 5 years absence, there was reason to be skeptical that the track of the land of which it was built was originally set aside for a residential subdivision, but in 2010 it was announced as being set aside for construction for a brand new American racetrack. When the track officially opened for the 2012 USGP, it was an immediate hit with fans and drivers alike. Jenson Button praised it as being spectacular, built with a massive rise to the first turn, a 251-foot observation tower and amphitheater, and a main plaza designed to entertain fans with merchandise stands and local food trucks. The atmosphere of the track is electric. Fun fact, the track design, if you look at it, I don't know if you'll see, we can look back at it, is known for their pads under the South Congress Bridge, and I thought that was a cool little feature. It is in the middle of, like, nowhere. It's about 25 minutes outside of downtown, and they're actually building an amusement park, or I guess, like, yeah, an amusement park there that has, like, actual roller coasters. This was back, temporary, but they're really building up, as does everything, and they're actually working on building a Turn 1-like experience, which is crazy. It's very, very hard to get in and out of the United States Grand Prix for COTA. There's like 2 or 3 entrances and exits, and that's it. But you get some really cool shots with the runoff paint. Here's Danny Rick. And then a view of Turn 1. This is the start line, and you go all the way up this hill. So it's years up in 8. So 2012, 2019, 2021. So what now? 9, 10, 11, 22, 23, 24, 12, 25. So, and I think they just got extended for another 10 years or something like that. It is 3.426 miles with 20 turns. Lewis Hamilton was the first winner with his McLaren, and the last winner, yeah, this is old. So the last winner was, who won? Max Verstappen this year. Most wins, I still believe, is Hamilton with 5. So this is old. I don't even know if that's the lap record anymore by Charles Leclerc. Miami International Autodrome. So the rumors of the second Grand Prix in the United States have floated around F1 circles for years with no real substance. There have been proposed returns to Las Vegas or Watkins Glen. Indianapolis has expressed the interest in trying again to host an event, this time under new management. A return to traditional tracks like Mid-Ohio or Barber Motorsport Park seemed possible during the COVID-19 pandemic, when track facilities didn't need to fancy to accommodate fans. Even Miami existed on shaky ground for a while, with local groups protesting about the glossiness of streets and noise race would bring to the city. Thankfully, the Miami Grand Prix has made it through the various barriers of legislation and is joining the Formula One calendar for an impressive 10 years starting in 2022. P3, this is F1 in the USA. Haas says F1 isn't the first Formula One team to proudly boast an American flag, and it likely won't be the last, which is true. Cadillac is joining the grid next year. By piecing together a car with internationally sourced components, Haas has created something uniquely American and uniquely successful. So why aren't more Americans supporting the team? Because Americans like to be first. And they don't like to not be good at something, and Haas was not very good for a long time. They're still on their up and up, but again, with just the color blocking is really cool. Just like the goggles and the face mask. Oh, and here is a former Haas driver, Romain Grosjean. His fiery crash in Bahrain in 2020. Just wild. Now IndyCar driver, but this wreck is insane. Here's Mick Schumacher and veteran driver Kevin Magnussen in Bahrain in 2022. I actually read Gunther Steiner's book, Surviving to Drive, and it was definitely an insightful read. It was more of like a diary, so you don't learn a lot about of his perspective of starting an F1 team known as Haas and the struggles of managing that, especially like after the pandemic. This is a cool photo of Kevin Magnussen's car in the garage. And then of course, I'll be careful with this, my placement on that, but that's the end of Race Weekend F1 in the United States. So again, I will put a link to this publication. It's a nice like coffee table magazine. And like I said, it has really good matte, high quality photos that if you wanted to do some like printing, or like this would be cool if you like cut it down the middle and framed both of these into separate frames. It could be a nice little, or if you wanted this picture, I'm sure some of you would, you could do the same for that. But yeah, this was the closest thing I could find to that other program that I did a video for last year. If you want to see that, I'll link it right here. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here. I hope you were able to cross that finish line into relaxation. I have so many more videos of the United States Grand Prix merchandise that I'm going to make, and I'll show you soon. And some race recaps. If you haven't subscribed already, I would appreciate the subscribe. Any comment or feedback is helpful. And I hope that you, again, were able to cross the line into relaxation.